Welcome to this mastery session. This mastery session is all about how change makers generate confidence. I don't know if you'd agree with me on this, but in many ways, one of the key factors to legendary success isn't your natural ability. It's not whether you have the right product. It's not whether you're in the right field. It's not whether you've had a blessed background. It's not whether you have the right IQ. I want you to really think about and deconstruct and play with, maybe later tonight in your journal. I want you to deconstruct this idea of confidence. And it seems like a very simple word, but just think about it in your own life. When you have confidence, or we could even call it fire, when you have that fire within you, that confidence, that interior bravery, you almost have this power to do whatever it takes to get your brave vision done. Confidence is something you really want to develop. Confidence is a practice. Confidence is a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you focus on it and practice it and train it, the stronger your confidence is going to grow. And so the first thing I want to offer to you with deep respect, as always, is simply this: study the alchemy. Now, here's what I mean by that. What happens to most people in life, especially the victims, is they reach a part of their life, a difficult time, and they call it failure. I mean, even just labeling a setback as a failure triggers something into your mindset to release cortisol, the fear hormone, which blocks your best performance. And so you want to see yourself and you want to study the alchemy, which is where other people are seeing a failure or a setback or even a little problem, you want to look for the gold. You want to train your brain so you have a dominant belief. It just becomes automatic because you've practiced it so much, where when someone says there's a problem or there's a wall or there's a failure, you literally see the alchemy to turn the lead into gold. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you're going through an illness. But you want to practice seeing the setback or the dark time as fuel to leverage your growth. And so on this first point about study the alchemy, no matter what you're going through in your life, whether it's a large difficulty or a small setback, you want to ask yourself, how can I use what I'm going through as fuel for my growth? You want to ask yourself, what is the gorgeous opportunity hidden inside this so-called problem? I mean, and if you look at the mass of humanity, they really train their brains to focus on problems, right? They hit a wall and they just, because of their belief system, they don't know it because most people are not really that aware of their belief systems. So they blame it on the world. They blame it on the supplier. They blame it on the teammate. They blame it on their husband or wife. They blame it on their childhood versus understanding our daily performance reflects our deepest beliefs. Which brings me to the second way that change makers generate confidence. They flow with the seasons. I mean, our egos and our weaker selves, and maybe I'm getting a little philosophical here, but I think we're all philosophers at some level. And our weaker selves think that success in life is being happy, 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 always being in the sunshine, always being successful. And society has sold us a bill of goods that if we're not successful and we're not on our games and if we're not waking up happy and if we're not full of joy and if we're not feeling all this confidence, there is something that is wrong. That is just your ego screaming. And that's why I say flow with the seasons. A life beautifully lived is a series of seasons. A legendary producer is not always at the top of the mountain. And so stop resisting. I encourage you, stop resisting the natural flow of epic performance. Stop resisting the natural seasons of life. You see? And so what happens is when you stop struggling and you learn to relax with life, and you simply understand part of living a legendary business life and part of living a rare air personal life means you're going to have seasons of so-called success in society. Maybe it's making a lot of money, being really productive, being at the top of your game, receiving the accolades of peers, feeling you are nailing your your goals and your ambitions and your KPIs, your key performance indicators. And you're going to have seasons where you're confused, seasons where you feel heartbroken, seasons where you feel depleted, seasons where you are struggling. And the more you learn to relax into every season, the more you will generate this internal power, which I call confidence. The third method that change makers use to generate great levels of confidence, they bulletproof their TBTF, tight bubble of total focus. You can be distracted, you can do iconic work, you just don't get to do both. And so the most productive people on the planet and the people with the greatest impact in the world, they all have this metaphorical tight bubble of total focus that they build around their mindsets, their heart sets, and their work routines. And so to generate massive amounts of confidence, you almost have to bulletproof yourself so nothing toxic, nothing distracting, no interruptions can get in. And then what happens is you literally start to drop into transient hypofrontality. That's the neurobiological phenomenon that happens when you drop into solitude and you get out of distraction. And you get into this monomaniacal focus where you slow down the cortisol flow, which is the fear hormone, and you increase serotonin, and you increase dopamine, which is the inspirational neurotransmitter. And researchers like Mihai Csikszentmihalyi call this the flow state. When you are playing basketball and you're really in the moment, in the flow of life, hours go by in minutes. And all of a sudden you find these superhuman abilities. Maybe you're at work and you're just jamming on a project with your teammates and you're actually having fun. Well, again, the whole day goes by and you did your best work. That's flow. And how do you get to flow? By protecting and bulletproofing your mindset, your heart set, and you doing your best work. Another way to bulletproof is really understanding the importance of reading great autobiographies, listening to great podcasts, turning off the news, because the purpose of the news is to frighten you. And if they frighten you, they're going to addict you. So again, one way to really generate great confidence is to build this tight bubble of total focus around you. And another way to do that is to clean out the toxicity in your life, stop watching news, start reading great autobiographies. The fourth way to generate confidence is to understand that the brain has a natural negativity bias. And I've alluded to this and spoken about this on previous podcasts, but this ancient brain, the amygdala, it served us really well. It was a survival mechanism that was developed within the human brain hundreds and thousands of years ago. So we were out on the savannah and we had to fight. We had to be hyper vigilant to saber-toothed tigers, to starvation, to being killed, right? And now we are in modern society, but we still have this ancient brain, this negativity bias. And what I'm suggesting to you, and I know you know this, but how many times in your own life you have a great day, you focus on the tiny losses. You have a great life, your brain naturally goes to the things that are not right. You give a great presentation to 100 people and you focus on one negative comment. With your intimate partner, he or she has 1,000 incredible qualities and you focus on the 3 negative qualities. Why does that happen? It's because your brain has a natural bias towards negativity. And on this fourth point about how change makers generate great confidence, you want to recode your mindset to fight and then beat and then transcend your brain's natural negativity bias. And how do you do that? You simply focus on where you are winning. Rather than saying what needs to improve, you can do a 30-day journaling challenge where you start to ask yourself, where am I winning in my life? And you do that every day. You start to rewire your neurobiology and your interior psychology. And every night before you go to sleep, you can do this while you're laying in bed, just mentally, or you can write it down. You can keep your journal by your bedside table. It's a ritual you can install. Ask yourself, what are 3 good things that happened to me today? And wherever possible, let's say you do a nature walk, let's say you're commuting home from the office, you start to build these rituals where you train your brain, because the brain is a muscle. And you start to ask yourself, where am I winning? What was good today? What am I grateful for in my life? Here's another great question. How could this be worse? So many of us have so many blessings in our lives that we take for granted. And positive psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. You know, we get something good in our life. Maybe it's a great relationship. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a new car. Maybe you're blessed to be healthy. And hedonic adaptation is the very natural psychological tendency for us to dismiss and take for granted what we experience every day. And I'm simply reminding you with great respect, you know, focus on where you're winning. Focus on where you're grateful for. Rewire and recode that natural tendency of your brain towards negativity bias. Because, you know, we live in a world where half the world lives on $2.50 a day. You know, it's that Persian proverb, I cursed the fact I had no shoes until I saw the man who had no feet. And then the final way the change makers generate confidence is they stop comparing. And this may seem obvious, but I'm going to invite you to really think about how many times, even in a single day, you compare your success to competition. You compare your life to what it looks like your neighbors have. You compare where you are on the journey of your life to what society says other people are living, and what the majority defines success as. And, you know, I'm encouraging you, when you stay in your lane, there is no competition. And one of the great recipes for a life lived unhappily is to spend your best hours of your best days comparing yourself. Well, here's the reality. Almost every single one of us alive today, we're struggling. We're struggling with something. We're struggling with a job issue, a financial issue, a health issue, a relationship issue, a spiritual issue. All these people that you see on the street that are wearing happy faces designed to suggest they have massive confidence, they're just like all of us. We're all just trying to figure it out. We all have something we want to work on in our lives. There's all some weakness we can pivot on and make better. That's the human journey. And so my encouragement to you here today on this podcast, where I share from my heart as much passion and love and wisdom, stop comparing your life, because you know what? Everyone has something that they're working on. And the people you think, I've worked with billionaires, and I get an inside private glimpse of how they live every single day. You think they have a beautiful life, they are struggling with just getting through the day. And it is such an illusion that so many of the people that we think have everything, many of them have nothing. And so please stop comparing your income, your car, your social status, your house, your family life, whatever it is, your business with other businesses in your field with others. Stay in your own lane, run your own race. Develop, have the wisdom, bravery, and confidence to say, here's what success stands for me. It might not be society's measure of success. It might not even be my neighbor's measure of success. It might not be my mom or my dad or even my loved one's measure of success. But this is what instinct feels right to me. And this is how I define success in my life, according to my values, and in the world. And then just don't compare to anyone else. Live that. I hope this podcast has been of value to you. I hope it's given you some great ideas to dial in on your confidence. And remember, ideation without execution is delusion. I want you to start acting. Confidence really is a muscle. Start acting on these ideas. Even tiny incremental improvements and execution ability today will build this momentum over time, right? Small daily improvements over time will lead to stunning results. So make those improvements today, right? So tomorrow is an even better day. I'll talk to you in the next mastery session.